Welcome back to NAB 2019 here in New York City. I'm Brian Stillman. I'm with BeTerrific, and we're here with Dan Pizarski from LiveU. We use LiveU all the time. That's literally how we're bringing you this broadcast. We've got 3 boxes here. We're sending our signal from our 3 cameras out there back to Secaucus, New Jersey, where they're sending it out to the rest of you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks for supplying gear that allow us to do our thing.
That's what we do. We're excited to do it.
So, what do you have rolling? What kind of new products do you guys have coming out?
So 2 big announcements at the show.
Yeah.
The first one is the first 5G integrated LiveU. First really 5G integrated cellular bonding device anywhere.
Right.
So you can come over to the booth and see it. We've got a clear plastic radome on it so you can see the antennas and modems inside.
Cool. To
show off how we got 2 5G modems in the unit. Leave room for LTE as well, because in the early days, most of the units will focus on a combination of 5G and LTE before 5G is ubiquitous across the whole country.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We don't have a lot of 5G yet.
Exactly, yeah.
Are these units that are available now? Or
Not quite, because the modules themselves have to be certified by the carriers.
Okay.
But as soon as that happens, we've got the antenna ready, we've got the design ready, and we'll be ready to roll out.
Now, in all likelihood, that's still going to, given the rate of the rollout at this point, that's still going to precede 5G being quite as ubiquitous as
Absolutely,
So it'll just switch over to LTE until...
Right, each modem can fall back to LTE if it has to. Absolutely.
Any other features involved in that, or is it otherwise straightforward like the packs that we're using right now?
It's actually the current generation flagship pack that we have right now, which we think our customers will appreciate, that they'll be able to take their current units and upgrade right to 5G.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, other than that, it's just all the great features of 5G there.
All right, SDI out and the whole 9 yards.
SDI
awesome.
in, SDI out from the far side, all the same features. 2 LAN ports on it. The total number of modems you'll be able to fit inside will change a little bit because the 5G modems are a little larger.
Okay.
So, it probably might be like 5 modems, 3 LTE, 2 5G, something like that. So, still working on that
and
a little bit.
And then is the plan, as 5G becomes ubiquitous, are you eventually going to phase out LTE? Or is that the type of thing you have to keep in place just for safety?
Because each of the modems can fall back to LTE, we'll probably end up with a unit that's got all of the more modern 5G LTE dual capable modems in it eventually. But in the early days, some of the carriers won't even have that option. So you'll have pure LTE modems in it and 5G modems. And then eventually you'll see all 5G modems, but they'll all be able to fall back to LTE. And then someday, 2024 maybe or something like that, it'll all be 5G all the time.
So here's the thing. You guys have to stay slightly ahead of the curve to make it work, because you want to have the product available for when the changeover comes. How do you balance that? How do you say, well, they're saying we'll have 5G by then, so now's the time to release that product? Because you obviously don't want to release it so early that nobody ever, I'm dead by the time 5G comes around.
Right.
But you don't want to be late to the market.
Right.
So how do you strike that balance? What kind of window are you looking for?
It's a lot of industry communication. So we have a pretty good relationship with all 4 carriers.
Sure.
That helps. We get a lot of, I don't want to exactly say inside information. What kind of inside information in terms of accurate
fairly accurate information.
That's a good way to put it, of where we are. We also know all of the module manufacturers. So, everything's based on, almost everything in the world is based on a Qualcomm chipset. There's only a few competitors, Qualcomm. But then up from there, other manufacturers actually build the kind of control system around it. And then that's what actually goes into our hardware to operate it. So knowing them and their roadmap in terms of, we think we'll have a module for 5G here, and it'll really be approved by the carriers by this time, gives us a roadmap to follow as well. So take those 2 pieces of data from multiple companies and merge it all together, and that gives you a view of kind of where to stay.
So LiveU packs, you wear them, you run your camera into them, allows you to send your signal back to a home base.
Exactly.
Over cell phone carriers, bonded cell phone carriers. What is 5G going to bring to that mix? What is that going to allow for that LTE is not currently able to do or do as well?
Yeah, in the consumer space, there's a lot of focus on the high bandwidth, right? You hear numbers like a gigabit through the air, and that's really cool, and we certainly can think of a lot of use cases for that. Things like 8K or multiple 4K signals or multiple video signals, plus a lot of intercom audio, plus a lot of ancillary data, all increase the need for data. But what really interests me about 5G, even more than the high bandwidth, is deterministic latency. So one of the problems that we have with LTE today is that from a network perspective, the latency, the amount of time it takes data to go from one end of the network to the other changes all the time in LTE. When you're using your Wi-Fi network or your LAN network at home, the amount of time it takes to go from point A to point B is completely predictable. It only changes in a complete disaster, your router crashing or something like that. In LTE, it's completely unpredictable. Every single time I send a packet, that number is different, and it can be wildly different, and it makes it really hard to do things like transmit video over it.
Right.
So a lot of what our current algorithm and the CPU inside the unit is doing is compensating for that work. Doing all the algorithmic work to figure out how can I send video over this and make the video work on the other side despite all the changing parameters. If 5G changes that, then we can do a lot less work on our side, and that frees up a lot of hardware on the unit to do other great ancillary features like tally lights, intercom, video return, all these new features that we've been coming out with. The more we can focus on things like that, both from a pure CPU standpoint and a software development standpoint, and worry less about, hey, this network acts crazy all the time.
Right, so now we have to have code and everything else to compensate for that. Right. That's very cool. It's not something I had even thought about. I'm strictly thinking in terms of how many 4K signals can I send over this thing. That's really awesome. And then you also talked to me, you mentioned earlier, data plans?
We do, yeah.
What's going on there?
We kind of break our product line up into two pieces.
Okay.
The LU product line, which includes things like the 600, which we've been talking about here with the 5G.
Right.
We also have the Solo product line, which is meant for people streaming directly to online. YouTube streamers, Twitch streamers, Facebook Live. And we offered that product for a long time with no data plan, because we knew that the needs for people that were streaming like that were a little different than the needs of people using the larger units, where we did offer data plans. We finally were able to work with the carriers, get them to agree on data plans that make sense for that product. So now we're offering a 2 modem and a 3 modem unlimited data plan for those products.
Wow.
So you can buy the box of modems from us. We realized, and we heard the kind of outcry from our consumers, that it's getting harder and harder to buy those USB modems. The carriers, they just don't sell them in the brick and mortar stores anymore, and they're harder to find. So you can buy the box of modems from us, and then go to the website and activate it, and then you've got an unlimited data plan that works with the Solo.
So I know it's not out yet, but the 5G unit, do you have a retail price on that yet?
We don't yet. We're waiting for, again, the module manufacturers to work with the carriers and fix that price exactly. We know it's going to end up being a little more expensive because those modules are going to be a little more expensive from the manufacturers, but we're waiting to see exactly what that number is, negotiate them down a little bit for our customers, of course, and then come up with an end price.
And those come with data plan. Like when you buy the unit, are you getting a data plan? And that's to every cell carrier.
Exactly right. Yeah, we'll do the blended data plan for you, so you're not going out to 4 different carriers with 6 different SIMs. If you own 10 units, then do the math on how many SIMs that is and everything. It's so hard to do.
Would rather not.
Cool. So we do all that work for you, and then get the data plan.
And then moving forward, what are you guys keeping your eyes out for? We talked earlier about that idea of sort of looking ahead to the future, staying on the cutting edge. 5G is obviously the big thing right now, and improved 5G is certainly going to carry you forward. What sort of things do you think about? Are you guys thinking about couple years out from now, whatever? What's the next step, ideally?
There's 3 things I'll talk about. One is HDR production. So especially for sports, there's a lot of interest in higher color depth for the video signal. So as cameras then support it, we need to then support it in our encoding hardware and our transport layer, and make sure that when you get that signal back out the other side, it's still HDR.
So right now you're supporting Rec 709, something roughly that sort of standard. Okay, so HDR. What else?
HDR is one. I don't want all the ones I was thinking of to fly out of my head. Shoot. HDR was one of the things I was thinking of.
3 things you're thinking about.
Damn.
But HDR is clearly the coolest.
IP production workflows is another.
Okay.
Out from the server, a standard called SMPTE 2110. Not so exciting for the kind of average end user, but for the larger video productions out there, they're making the switch to all IP-based. So that's a new challenge for the server. What's interesting with that, almost a little gotcha we didn't think of when we first started working on it, is once you have an all IP facility, it's truly all IP. So we thought of like the video output. Instead of taking SDI out of the server, you're taking IP out of the server. But really, you mean everything. IFB, the audio in, the talk back to the cameraman, the video return has to all be IP.
Metadata is attached to everything.
So if you've built a facility that literally only has Ethernet jacks everywhere, you literally don't have SDI to plug into. Oh, I'll take video out over Ethernet, but my video return has to be on SDI. Then that's not available. So we've got to work on it. You'll see in 2020 a server from LiveU that does SMPTE 2110 for the primary video output and all of the ancillary services as well.
Cool, exciting stuff. Dan, thanks so much for stopping by. Stick around. This is all part of our coverage of NAB 2019 here in New York City. I'm Brian Stillman with BeTerrific. Check us out at BeTerrific.com. we'll bring you more throughout the, well, man, I guess we're wrapping up the final day of NAB.
Almost done.
Before we go, where can they find out more information about this? I almost forgot.
We are here at the show, of course. You can also go to LiveU.tv, find out all everything about products.
LiveU.tv. Yep. All right, and with that, we're on our way out, and we will have more for you later on today.